Preston McCall here again. More about how you want to become a painter. My mother was an artist. She primarily helped to take care of the bookkeeping responsibilities of my father's car business and real estate ventures. But she also attended the Wichita Art Association classes and had a group of ladies who all painted together about once a month. They painted still lifes and a few self-portraits. I was just a little guy, probably about 4 years old, and would gleefully attend these with her frequently because they were always giving me candy and little head pats. They also used real turpentine, and that odor permeated my senses, linking the smell to the joyous feeling of being the little guy who all the old ladies appreciated and cared for with such exuberance. When I went off to art school and entered for the first time the painting department at KU, that smell of turpentine blasted me back to that special time as a kid. I was home. Mom used to tell me that I had to kiss a lot of frogs before I would find a princess. She was referring to making paintings and how you just had to keep painting to finally get somewhere. She was a constant, gentle force in encouraging me to draw and paint in grade school. My crayon drawings were simply better than most of the other kids, to which the teachers branded me as the class artist. It was all because somebody had encouraged me to draw and experiment earlier on. Inside, I felt a bit of confidence that I could draw and continued doing it, as it did impress the girls somewhat. I saw that as the main reason to keep drawing. Finally, I was about 12 or so. I was stuck into a life drawing class and then had to learn how to draw really fast, as I was so embarrassed being the only youngster in the class of old adults who were probably 30. During the 4 years of art school at KU, I took a lot of figure drawing classes, probably for the same reasons. I wanted to meet some of these cute lasses who were there. Unfortunately, learning how to draw the figure was hard, and it really did take about 4 years before I could consistently draw the proportions reasonably correct. Figure drawing was the most difficult part of learning how to really draw. Of course, I took painting classes and was mesmerized by color. I had some old school professors who pounded away about the archival qualities of your art, and some younger faculty members who pounded away about pop art and how learning about art history was the most important thing. I did take a lot of art history, despite my poor ability to write cohesive papers and logical cases for how and why art history was so important. Then, after art school, I went to architecture school at KU. They had a graduate program for non-majors. Of course, they were really trying to give the main students, who were serious architecture students, some peripheral exposure to other ideas, and it was obvious that I, being from the art department, was kind of looked down upon. They also heaped onto me the serious problem of learning engineering, calculus, and physics, to which I struggled, but I studied and managed to ace my way through. Calculus, yes, I did it. Then the architectural drafting classes. I knew how to draw by that point. I could freehand draw circles around the other students with their lack of drawing skills. It was a snap, a breeze, but it was also boring as hell. How many light wires? How many stress diagrams for materials? How many minor but essential details of architectural engineering could they come up with? Necessary stuff, really, but boring. I really missed color. Blueprints are just, well, blue, and they kind of stink. Well, in the late 60s and early 70s, art school was about half men and half women. I learned to appreciate the work of numerous others, and I marveled at the best work. It inspired me to work harder. Being art school then, some large percentage of the students were gay. I knew which side of the fence I was on in accepting the students who were gay because I respected their work. It made no difference to me what they did outside of art school, and the quality of their work was the only thing that really mattered. I thought it was especially fortunate for me because half the men were gay, which meant there were a lot more women for me to chase. Heck, it was the early 70s, and I was young, naive, and very, very interested. I did not care what the sexual preferences were, just like I did not care what political or religious opinions they possessed. It was their work which mattered the most to all of us. It was just an accepting environment, and there were never any conflicts over those nettlesome issues of discrimination. After I came to the conclusion that I missed color in architecture school, where there were very few social differences in most of the architectural students being middle-of-the-road types, I broke free. I decided I did not want to be an architect and just wanted to pursue my painting. I also saw that selling my paintings was kind of a major obstacle. I showed my work in some shows and even had a one-man show back in Wichita where I actually sold a few paintings. But I could not live on that. I had a job working at the Chrysler store detailing cars and quit to open my first car shop. Within a year, I had 15 employees and more work than we could possibly handle. Suddenly, I had an income and time in the evenings to paint. I also had a wild, red-headed girlfriend and lived in an old grocery store converted into a duplex. The rent from the upstairs apartment almost made the house payment, so life was definitely growing in the right direction. I had a nice studio and, indeed, painting some of my early narrative pieces. Well, then life started getting complicated. I opened the sign shop with a buddy of mine from art school who was very talented and a great inspiration, knowing as much about hand lettering. I spent a couple of years learning all I could about hand painting signs, and then I sold out to him to go back into my car restoration business, which I still had, moving the car shop into a much bigger building. We began working on more and more old car restorations and even antique fire trucks. Wow, I had more employees. I still painted regularly, but the shop was a bigger project and I had to work hard to keep it going. The shop was fun work, but very tricky to keep going with the increased overhead. We worked on some fabulous projects, but it was expensive. Okay, 10 years, I had the shop. I painted some 30 to 40 paintings. I had hired numerous models to pose for me during figure drawings, and attended various drawing groups to continue my pursuit of figure drawing. A few of the models I discovered were interested in forming romantic relations. But I soon discovered that once I crossed that line, the drawings were not as good. They weren't strong. Nudity took on a more romantic urge than just the drawing. So I learned to not get involved with the models. I found my romantic relations elsewhere. I had discovered also pastels and produced several hundred about 18 by 24 still lifes on black Canson pastel paper. I hired a photographer to shoot all of these and was very pleased how the pile of slides turned out, but still did not know what to do with them. They became a constant source for the paintings for the rest of my life. Still today, I look through these sometimes and see ideas of composition and color that I use in my narratives. It was a great time of exploration in choosing what sorts of things I wanted to paint. I was 36 years old, half my age today. I sold out, moved to Junction City. I was running a Chevy store. The job was a definite full-time 70 hours a week venture, and I had less time to paint. I did go out into the fabulous Flint Hills on Sundays and do pastel drawings of that landscape, which kept my embers burning. Well, enough for now. Look forward to the next number 124 Naked Artist Exposure video, which I will continue the story how I pursued this crazy adventure of becoming a painter. Thanks for watching, and click on the like button and subscribe. I enjoy making these videos every day, so stay tuned. Your comments are much appreciated, and I thank you again for reaching out back to me. I am Preston McCall, and keep painting.